Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. We are with somebody who helps a lot of people in their recovery process from addiction, from trauma, and her name is Kathy Slagter, and she has founded one Neigh at a time. Now, what do I mean by Neigh? I mean Neigh, as in what a horse says, and horses are part of the recovery process. It's phenomenal, and we learn all about that every time we talk with you, Kathy. How are you doing today?
Hey, great. Thank you. The weather is yucky out here, but instead of freezing, it's 50. So I guess I can't complain about that.
Pretty much the same thing. Let me look here in the New York area, 52 degrees, and it's kind of cloudy, which means in the horse area by you, it's probably a little bit muddy today, right?
Actually, no, the ground's pretty hard still. It's ice. I have to put on little ice shoes to walk out and feed my horses, and they're walking with very, their solid ground isn't very hard, isn't very good right now neither. So, we're doing the old lady shuffle around here, horses and food.
It's funny I say the same thing, whenever it's icy out. I took a spill when I was in my low 30s on the ice, popped my head open, and ever since then, whenever it's icy out, I do the old man shuffle. Like, I'm just so careful as I walk because I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, we don't need me hurt or them hurt. So I'm glad they know that it's, they can't just take off and go running neither. It's pretty amazing what, how I don't know how animals adapt, and how, sometimes we don't always adapt to our situation as well as a horse does, which is, the magical part of working with them is watching them and how they transform into the situation that they're in, and how hard it is for us humans sometimes to make that transformation into, for me, like addiction and drinking and not drinking. How about that? Not even addiction, just a life of not drinking compared to my life of drinking, and how easily it is for people to slip back into what was comfortable for them. And, then they get stuck in, now I wish I was sober again. There's so many journeys out there that we all take.
And it must be challenging for somebody in that situation, because maybe they had a major addiction issue way back. They've moved to this point where they've minimized a lot of it, but every once in a while, they're slipping back from time to time. And they know they're doing it and may not know what to do about it. How do you know, Kathy, if you have somebody in your life or yourself dealing with some kind of addiction issue, when enough is enough? Like, where do you say that I'm good? Like, you made that decision just over 10 years ago, because you passed that milestone a couple of weeks ago. How do you know when is enough is enough?
Oh, it's different for everyone. And, it's the bottom, that's what alcoholics call it many times, is your bottom. And again, this doesn't have to be just alcohol. There's many things in our life that we've just had enough of, and we are ready to do whatever it takes to get to the other side of that. And the scary part is if you close your eyes, the other side sometimes is behind a black screen. You have absolutely no idea what is behind that black screen. And, that's where I can step in, my horses and I can step in and help you figure out how to kind of peek, and how to, you have to do it slowly. A lot of people, think that they're ready and they want their life the same. This is something that comes up for me, and it did for me too. I want my life the same. I just don't want to drink. So I went out to the bars. I went out with my friends, and I didn't drink. And it was miserable. I was having a miserable time trying to be the same person that I was. And it took some very hard looks, some big, huge looks into my life to figure out what is happiness and what is comfort and what is, joy and peace and serenity. That's the thing that, we is in our wisdom. The wisdom prayer is, the serenity prayer is peace and serenity. And, how do I get that? And what does it look like?
That's so true. And it's funny for years, if you go to church and you hear peace be with you and you hear the word peace all the time, what does it mean? You
Right? What
know?
does it mean to have peace in your life? You know, I didn't know. All I knew was is kind of chaos. And I didn't know that that's what I had in my life until I was able to peek behind the screen and take little glimpses of what peace might look like. And I was talking to somebody the other day that, she was telling me about her life, that just seems like I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm kind of, I'm relaxing, I'm doing this, and I feel like I need something else in my life. And I said, well, could that be peace and serenity that you've been looking for, for so long? And she's like, you know, you know, this is kind of boring. And I'm like, well, look at what chaos was, look on the other side. What does chaos look like? And she's like, yeah, I don't want that again, So it's odd that we search for chaos sometimes in our life. It gives us a little bit of a high, and it also gives us a very, very big low.
Well, people that do that might be running from something, and that's why they want I got to stay busy. I'm always all over the place. So then they can't focus on maybe whatever it is that's not right in their life or what they want to change.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it. And when you do step into the round pen with my horses and me, the horses might even show you. I've had a horse before that just would not stop moving in the round pen, moving. And the woman's like, is there something wrong with that horse? She looks kind of scary because she's not moving. And I know my horse, and I say, well, that's not her normal way of, standing with me and with a client. Why do you think she might be doing that? And, the person sits back and watches her for a while and goes, wow, that's me. That's my head. That's my body. That's me moving. That's me not relaxing. That's me, that's me being chaotic. And, what a powerful experience that was for her, because she could look at the horse and go, how tiring, and she put words behind what the horse was showing her in her own life.
That's
And then
amazing.
you could work on that part of it. What can you do to change that part of you? It might not ever go away completely, but there's ways to calm it. You could go in there and calm the horse down in a second. How do you do that? And it could be just walking in there and breathing with the horse, and standing in the middle and taking a big breath and slowing down your body. And the horse might come up to her then and just stand there and go, yeah, this feels good.
That's a testament to what you do and why horses are involved. If somebody doesn't get it, and it's easy not to get it unless you spend time with horses, and I haven't spent a lot of time, but I've seen what they can do in different programs for people that have physical challenges, mental challenges. So beneficial. And now we're hearing it here that, the horse could mimic somebody's behavior almost like a mirror.
Yes. Yep. I can't remember who exactly said it, but it's something like the horse is the mirror to your soul, and Brannigan or something like that said that. I'm bad with names. I think my addict mind got a little, I used alcohol for a very long time. So now my memory is a little slacking sometimes, but of course we can remember the bad things a lot quicker and easier than we could remember the good things. We remember the pain. We don't always remember the gain part.
Yep.
So,
And it's funny that you say that, because think back to the first memories you ever had as a child. And usually they're the negative memories,
yeah,
because your brain processes and remembers the trauma almost as a fight or flight kind of thing. I'm going to prepare you for this. I'm your brain. I'm going to prepare you for this because that wasn't a good situation. So you're not going to forget that. But you don't remember when you went to the amusement park when you were 4 years old. It was a great time. You don't remember that. It's kind of filtered out, unfortunately.
Your mom and dad. Don't you remember going to Disneyland? Like, no, sorry,
But I remember waving bye-bye when I was on the radiator and cracked my head open.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is true, by the way. That actually happened.
Oh, no.
I was 3 or 4, and that's one of my first memories.
It's memories.
And I remember my mom freaking out, and it was in an apartment complex, and she ran downstairs and banged on the door. She knew a dentist lived there, and I remember him opening the door, and he's like, "I don't know what to do. I'm a dentist," and her freaking out even more. But that's a memory. I was waving bye bye. I could tell you the time of day, where the angle of the sun, but that's the kind of memory, unfortunately,
Right.
we have those
Trauma
memories.
stays in our body a lot longer than joy does.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's the part of, that's the triggers for humans. That's
Mhm.
your that's when your body reacts to something, your memory, like you said, can remember that, and you might put that into a different situation in life. That's, I wish we could say the joy sticks in us, but that's the part that we have to work on. And
It is.
yeah, it reminds me of putting a horse in a horse trailer. You can't make a horse. So, this is getting help, asking for help, or what to do to help somebody to get help. What is enough, when is enough, if you try to get a horse in a horse trailer and the horse decides he does not want to go in that horse trailer, you have humans playing all kinds of games to make sure to get that horse in that horse trailer. They're 1,500 pounds, and they have a lot of power in them. And you can't pick their feet up and have them walk in. You can't pick them up. You can't, slap on their back. They'll rear up or they'll move away. Can't pull them in. You can't, a lot of people use feed or, something else to get them to come in. And a lot of times it's just patience and giving them the love and the attention. And one little step is, yay, good for you, back up. 2 steps, yay, good for you, back up. 3 steps, and then tell 4 and they're in. And that takes time. I remember one time I also have Piece of Serenity Ranch, which is a gypsy breeding company. And one of my horses was leaving. It was one of my first ones. So I was kind of new at all this. And we did that with him. We tried to get him in the trailer and he would not go. There was at least 6 of us doing all kinds of tricks to get that horse in there. He would not get in there. So I was able to take, I said, hey, go for the night in a hotel, if you would, please. And I'll work with the horse and leave your trailer here and I'll get the horse in the trailer. And sure enough, but it took me a day of praise and, not having them scared. We scared them to get into that trailer. Praise and working with him and giving him a break and more praise. And that's, that again is us. We heal by giving ourselves praise, but unfortunately, usually the healing doesn't start until, obviously you don't need to be healed unless you had a trauma of some sort. So, trying to figure out when do you reach for the help? When do you relax and take a little step and figure out what it looks like? And when do you rear up and start over again? People do that again and again and again is, they're just not ready, or they're not looking at everything in their life that made them drink in the first place. So they go back to it.
Do you remember, Kathy, when you first started drinking?
I do. I remember that day. Yes. I remember my first beer. I remember that day. We had these little tiny beers, no, they're out there still, I think. But, I remember then we finished, there was 4 of us and I think we finished 24 of them or something. And it wasn't enough. I wanted more then. And, it just graduated from more and more and more. I just, I go back to the thing. I never had enough. I never was, wow, I got a great buzz. I think I'm done. That is usually an alcoholic story. Not always, but I hear that over and over again. Is I started out loving the effects, or I started out never having enough. And, that's my story, is I never had enough.
And you remember vividly from the beginning how it made you feel, the buzz that you might have felt, and that's what got you?
I do. I remember, I remember the change in me. I remember the fun that I had out of it, the laughter we all had. I even remember hiding it from my parents as we walked in the door because I had a group of people up at our cabin, and we 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds driving, which is sad in the first place. Home and hiding it and then feeling like crap in the morning and thinking, oh, I'll never do this again. And sure enough, next weekend, I don't remember the next weekend, but I'm guessing it was pretty close to that next weekend that I did it all over again. And so the story begins.
Yeah. And what was your bottom?
My bottom was truly afraid that I was dying. I felt like I had a few heart attacks and I was scared. I was hiding it. I went to the hospital a few times. They told me I needed to stop. I don't know. It just took enough of fear to get me to the point where I had to change. I was scared to death. I was scared to death to change. I was scared to death to quit. And I was scared to death to continue drinking. And that emotion had to be so, I had to knock myself on the head at least 20 times going to the hospital and feeling like hell and thinking I was going to die. And I even felt like my heart stopped a few times in the middle of the night and my whole body jumped like I was getting, the defibrillator on me. And, I had to have enough of that to be scared enough to want to quit. And, everybody's bottom looks so different. I just talked to somebody who, they went to jail 3 times for drinking and driving, and they did all the things that the courts asked them to do. Their 4th time they went to prison, and you would think that would be enough. I think he spent 5 or 6 years in prison. He got out of prison. He didn't even make it a year, and something tragic happened to his life, and he went back out into a car, hit a tree, had alcohol, pot, you name it, he had it on him, and now he's in jail. Now he's in prison again.
Wow.
What is the bottom? One would think that, even as an outsider looking in, you go, that's got to be their bottom. That's got to be the scare. You might lose your kid. You would think losing your kid would be the bottom. Sometimes that's not it. It is truly, really, really personal of when have you had enough and what are you willing to do to change it?
And when you were in that situation, Kathy, did you feel alone?
Oh, completely. I didn't even know there were sober coaches out there. The only thing I knew about AA is my kids, I've heard of people that had to go there because of the law. I just thought they were old men sitting around chatting about drinking, I guess. I never knew it was such a good community of people and helpful and relaxing. And, it was a place I would go and feel safe for an hour. And I didn't even do that until I was 4 months sober. I didn't want to go to AA. I fought it really, really hard. And,
why did you fight it? Did you feel that it was, you were giving up, or you couldn't do it alone?
Yeah, I just felt I could do it alone. I did feel like I could do it alone. I didn't want to let, there's my hiding thing again. I say that I hid a lot about my life, and the hiding was, if I went there, other people would know that I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
I can hide in my own home and feel safe here, or I could go out to a bar still with my friends and drink something that might look like an alcoholic beverage. I can do all these things to pretend that I wasn't. I think it was shame, probably shame to show up in a place where I felt was wrong. And I found out that in those doors are the people, nobody is like me. There were so many different variations of people. Some people were like me, some people were not, and it's a great place to start, and it's free. It costs $1, and it helps you recognize that you're not alone. When I got into this program, which was 2 years after I was sober, the Touch by a Horse program with Melissa Pierce, that's my coaching program that I'm certified under. She helped me get to the root of the whys, and to really look at my shame and to really look at how I want to change my shame, which, AA is good at saying this is what we did to get to where we are. But for me, I needed more. That doesn't mean everybody does. I'm not saying AA isn't enough, but for me, I needed more. I wanted to know the foundation, the root of where I am, how come I'm here where I am, and what can I do to, grow great fruit. I even in the Bible, there's to grow great fruit. What is it? You have rotten fruit on a tree or good looking or fresh, beautiful apples. Let's just say apples. They don't just show up. You have to have the right seeding. You have to have the right love. You have to have the right water and the care and the soil and, for the roots to grow and for the tree to grow and the branches and the leaves and the blossoms and the apples and, all that is a process. And I didn't have that when I drank. I skipped a lot of that process. And that's what Gestalt did, is help me learn those steps over again so that I could be stronger, so I could have a solid foundation so that, if something tragic happened in my life, I don't go back to the only thing I know, which was drinking. Now I know something more.
Right. I wonder, for you now, you help people with horses in their recovery process. Were you into horses before you decided to make a change in your life?
I've always loved horses. I had little horses. My mom and dad had horses for a little bit, but I went years and years without them in my life. I had a horse. Her name's Holly, and I still have her. And she's a beautiful healer now. She's 30 years old, and I can get on her and ride her a little bit. But she, her job mostly right now is healing people, and she's very powerful. But yeah, I loved them forever. I never knew what they could do for us. I just loved being on them. I loved being around them. I loved the beauty of them. But I never knew what they could do for us, what they freely give to us.
And unless even me explaining it to somebody, which by the way, I've explained, our talks before to people, and like, nice. Really? The horse, you go in the pen and it does work that way. We're almost out of time. So I want you to tell everybody when they go to your website, again, tell everybody your website and how you can help them out.
Oh, I'd love to. My website is www.oneneigh, Neigh, @time.com, or contact me through Kathy and email, Kathy with a K, ATHY @oneneigh@time.com. The free consultation is at 30 minutes, and it's my gift to you. I would love to chat with you and let you know what program works best for you. Where do we start? What's your intention to get to where you want to be? And what you can come to the barn. We can do Zoom. I have Zoom groups on Wednesday nights, and I'd love to meet you and chat and heal. That's the fun part, is watching people heal.
That has to be so monumentally rewarding, Kathy, when you know that somebody has gone through a lot of the things that you went through, and you've been there, done that, so you know what they're dealing with, for the most part, because everybody's different. But then seeing them on a totally different path that they have healed, that's got to make you feel so good inside.
Yeah, it does. It does. I love watching other people have aha moments, either on Zoom or especially with a horse in person. That's when I really get to see it, and how powerful it is. You just never forget, as Melissa Pierce says, you never forget what a 1,500-pound horse says to you. You might forget what I say, but you never forget what a horse says to you.
And it's interesting. The last horse I saw, I was hiking with a friend, and somebody was riding by with their horse. And I still remember the image of the horse and the feeling of the power at that, and the respect that I have for the horse. It's a big animal, and I don't know anything about him, so I'm being very careful around it. But just looking in the horse's eye, it was just, I still remember it. And this is, I don't know, last fall, just randomly, somebody walking by with a horse.
Right. Well, they see you. And how many times do you wish that other people would see you? Not just look at you, but really see you.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, is we help you find you. We help, I listen and help you and see you, meet you where you are, live in the here and now, one day at a time, one day at a time.
And most importantly, you're not alone. And
No.
that also goes for anybody that is with somebody that has an addiction issue. You're not alone.
Right. I'm going to be working this week with a woman that her husband, I don't know anything more about it other than her husband is somewhere in that addictive world. And, she wants to know what to do for herself.
Yes. And unfortunately, you say the addictive world, when you're in that world, it may start with alcohol, but then it can spin into so many other things. When they say some people have addictive personalities, they really do.
Right.
Always great.
Mind.
It's always great talking with you, Kathy. One Neigh at a time, Neigh. Go there, learn more. And as we always say when we end, and it's that picture on the shirt that I saw when I first met you by video. And it's on your website.
Let it is. Let it go. Let it go.
Yep.
Yeah. Check out my Facebook page too. I post a lot of things and have my beautiful horses on there too. So check it out.
Check it out. And great talking with you. Look forward to catching up again soon.
All right. Sounds good, Steve. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
And we'll be right back. Hang on.
Have you ever wondered how a horse could help you in your recovery? Well, my name is Kathy Slagter, and I'm an equine master gestaltist. And what I do is help you find your passion and purpose in your recovery. My website is www.oneneigh@a-time.com. And you may also contact me through email at Kathy with a K, ATHY @oneneigh@a-time.com. Can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you in the barn.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.